Welcome back everybody. So today we're going to be sharing a recipe from our cookbook here, French Cooking Academy 100 Essential Recipe for the Home Cook, and it is a soup, or shall I say a velouté. Now soup is this thing that you want to make a lot of time but you don't know how to approach it. So in my book I've got one technique I'm using to make a velouté of vegetables. We're going to be using the beloved corn here because this is easy. If you're lazy, you don't have time, you can't be bothered, this is going to be the soup for you. And not only you're going to be able to make that one, but you can also replace the corn with something else and make all kinds of velouté soup. Let me show you how the process works. Let's go. So let's learn how to make that corn velouté. Now you may wonder what on earth is a velouté. In French cooking it's very simple. There's different types of soup. We don't use the word just it's a soup, okay? So we've got the potage. The potage is like the thin soup, like your vegetable soup, very watery. Okay, that's one type. And then we've got another type here, which is called the velouté, which is based on a béchamel sauce. The béchamel sauce is also called the white sauce, and this is the stuff you use in your lasagna, your moussaka. And you're going to be saying, oh my God, but this is very thick, how are we going to be using this? Well, in French cooking, you can make your béchamel with a different thickness, okay? So there's basically three types of white sauce that we use. The very thin one, which is the one we're going to be using here, you can use it for soups and velouté and stuff like that, or even sauces. Then you're going to have the standard one that you're going to be using for your moussaka, your lasagna, whatever, anything like this. And then you got a very thick one that is used to make soufflé. You make a cheese soufflé or anything like this, you're going to have a very thick béchamel. And use that technique, you will see. Once you try it, there is no turning back. All right, so let's begin. So remember, there's two components to that velouté. First, the béchamel, and then the puree of vegetable. We can't do anything more simpler than that. How do we make that famous white sauce, aka béchamel? Very simple. First, we need to make a roux. Okay, a roux is an equal amount of butter and flour. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a pan. I'm going to put this on medium. I'm going to melt my butter first. As soon as the butter is melted, make sure you reduce your heat a bit when you can keep it too low. We're going to add all the flour at once and we're going to mix everything to form some kind of a paste. Once you got your paste on here, you've created something that is called the roux. The roux is the thickening agent that is used to make any type of white sauce, okay, béchamel. And the amount of flour and butter you use in there is going to dictate how thick your béchamel is going to become. It is always typically based on a liter of milk, okay? So from here, we're going to leave this to cook for about 2 minutes. Put a timer on, low heat. The time is up. My roux has been bubbling away on very low heat. I've now turned my heat off and I'm going to put this totally off the heat and let it cool down completely. If you want to accelerate the process, you can put the bottom of the pan and using a bit of water, but we're not in a hurry. So I'm going to just put this on the side and then we're going to warm up the milk. Now when it comes to the milk, I always like to flavor the milk when I'm making a béchamel, because if you're someone that had a white sauce and you don't like it because it was like a tasteless kind of sauce, the reason for that is because your milk is not flavor. The flavor starts here. So this is a full creaming. I've got some fresh cream floating around here. And what I'm doing but flavoring, I'm adding some stuff. So here I've got a bay leaf, okay, with a bit of thyme. I've got some cloves, some garlic, and I'm going to put as well lots of little shallots here. So as you can see, I've got all my little ingredients floating around. I'm going to add a tad of salt in here. So we're going to warm this up while the roux is cooling down. As soon as your milk starts to simmer and start to smoke like this, it's enough. We're going to turn the heat off and I'm going to mix this into our roux. So here we are. That was the roux that we've made before. As you can see now, it's cooled down. It's a bit of a thick paste. And from here, all what we're going to do is start pouring the milk over. So I'm going to filter it using a sieve. I'm going to put roughly half of it first. And using a whisk, I'm going to incorporate everything. So you do this with that half to make sure you capture all the, roux is a bit coarse like a paste. So you want to make sure you whisk the side and everything and you capture all the stuff in there. And from here, then you continue. We're going to take the rest of the milk and pour it over and mix everything together. Now, little reminder, I'm doing that step here with the heat off, okay? Once this is done, I'm gonna now turn my heat back to medium and we're gonna bring that milk with the roux to the boil in order to make that thin béchamel. And you're gonna have to whisk from time to time to make sure it doesn't stick, and be patient. Just use a medium heat. If you go too fast, it might start sticking at the bottom and everything like that. So medium heat and taking your time is key. Right, you can see this. That's the bubbles you want. When that happens, 2 minutes maximum. After 2 minutes, you turn your heat off, and you should have that thin consistency, that thin bechamel that can coat a spoon nicely like this. You want to taste the preparation. It should be tasting already good. Okay, not too much salt, light flavored, but flavorsome. Yeah, perfect. So now we're gonna add the corn. So the heat is now off. Now for the corn, it's really up to you. I'm using a maximum of 2 cans of 400 grams. This is the first can that's in, and it depends on how strong you want your soup to be. If you want it really yellow with a strong taste of corn, add more corn. If you want just the 1 can, it's fine as well. So for me, what I've done, I'm using kind of 1.5 can, about 600 grams, and I keep a few tablespoons of corn for the decoration after. And all what we're gonna do is to mix everything together first. And then we're going to use an immersion blender and blitz the whole thing, because if you leave it like this, as you can see, not great. Okay, perfect. So immersion blender, you've seen this before. Okay, and there we go. Blitz the whole thing. All right, all done. So as you can see, now my velouté is nice and yellow. It's got a nice appetizing corn color compared to what we had before. And let's remind us, we now have done the 2 things. We've done the thin bechamel, and we've now mixed the vegetable element, and this is ready. It is very thick and coarse. What we're going to do, we're going to filter the whole lot. Now filtering the velouté is really what makes the whole thing really nice and smooth, and there's no bits of corns and skins everywhere. I'm using a good looking pan. If you want to use the pan you've used for the milk, it's fine, it's not a problem. I'm using a sieve in here, and I'm going to be passing the whole thing through. Okay, you can take a spoon and very slowly move the things like that until it's all passed through. Now when you finish with the passing, you will be left with this. You see, that's all the pulp. You don't want this into your velouté, okay? Very important. So you can press down, but you're going to discard this. I'm going to keep on going, put more of my velouté mix and pass everything through. Now let's look at the result of what you've made. Okay, so we had the bechamel, we've mixed the corn, we've blitzed it, we passed it through, and now we've got a velouté, a corn velouté. So this is the consistency. It is still a little bit on the thick side, and this is where the cream comes in. So we're gonna be putting the heat back on to medium to warm this up again, and we're gonna add either cream or milk. If you don't like to have more fat or more cream and stuff like that, you can use milk instead, but usually about 50 or 100 ml of cream is gonna adjust the consistency. If you like it like this, you know, nice and thick, it's up to you. You can stop here, and you can see the color, very important. It's a nice yellowish color, but it's not too pronounced. I could have used more corn if I wanted to, and that really depends on you. It's gonna be to suit your personal taste. But for the time being, let's warm this up. This is now on its way. I'm gonna reduce the heat, and now comes the time for the final touches. You can always add some little tuning into your preparation at the end. This is something I always teach in house school to all the students. So first, we're gonna add, I'm gonna start with just 1 or 2 tablespoons of cream. Okay, it's gonna mix in. And remember that corn is sweet. So I'm gonna counterbalance the sweetness with a little salt in here. Okay, very important. And you've noticed I didn't add any pepper, because I've now discovered that, you know, Cameroon, it's a white penja, white pepper, freshly ground. It's from Cameroon, from Africa. It's beautiful. And it's really kind of heat, you know, it's got a very specific taste, very woody, beautiful. Always, you know, love it with all kinds of these white soups like this. It goes a very long way. From here, of course, we have to taste to make sure you get just the right soup you want. All right. Moment of truth always. So you see, not too much cream to not change the color. I can still feel the sweetness slightly, but I think it's nicely balanced. I think I'm gonna add some more pepper, just can't resist. Okay, let's go, let's mix that in. And I'm gonna be done. And now the velouté, the corn velouté is now finished. Look at this consistency. This is the color, the texture. It is balanced, it is delicious, and you've now made a velouté the way it is made in the restaurants. And this is the kinds of things I've got throughout my book. These are all the things you're going to be learning. Simple recipes that use this proper technique and that really delivers on taste. Now, let's do some serving. And here we are, the table is served. So for the serving, you can use bowls, you can use plate. I typically kind of like to use a little plate in here. Just make sure the soup, or the velouté, shall I say, is nice and warm, very important. So you can see that consistency of the velouté, typical. As you can see, it's nice and thick. You can have it thinner if you want, huh? Okay? And from here, it's up to you, you can decorate, so the final touch, and you can have a bit of flair, a bit of pepper in here, you can have some chives, a bit of color. I think the green, kind of green and yellow. And these corns, remember, I've left some of these corns on here, and because I kind of like to kind of give an extra bite of corns in there, but it's really up to you. But in essence, that's about it. This is how you make a delicious corn velouté from scratch. And trust me, once you try it, you're never gonna do any other corn soup. Okay, but that completes the video for this week. I hope you're enjoying. You'll find all the information you need in the video description for the recipe, the courses, etc. I will see you next week for another video on the French Cooking Academy. Take care all. Bye bye.
My appetite, don't leave me here high and dry.